14 नवंबर 2025 बिहार के लोग इतिहास रचने जा रहे हैं और ये सुनहरे अक्षरों से लिखा जाएगा।
लोकतंत्र का पर्व है। लोकतंत्र के पर्व के लिए तो हम लोग स्वागत कर रहे हैं इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया का। बिहार की जनता के बीच में काम के आधार पर, बिहार के विकास पर जनता के बीच में एनडीए चुनाव में जाएगा।
इस बार बिहार जाति, धर्म, नाली गली, मोदी, नीतीश, लालू, प्रशांत किशोर के लिए नहीं, अपने अपने बच्चों के लिए वोट करेगा।
The poll pitch is ready in Bihar. It's one of the most keenly watched electoral contests. And this time, the election promises to be even more exciting. 9-time Chief Minister Nitish Kumar may just be on a shaky wicket. The young Tejashwi Yadav is a formidable challenger. And there is a new kid on the block. Strategist turned politician Prashant Kishor, or PK as he is known as. Add to this mix Election Commission's special intensive revision of electoral rolls, the complex caste equations, freebies being doled out, and angst over unemployment, and you have a potboiler of an election. It is Friday, the 10th of October. From the Economic Times, I'm your host Nidhi Sharma, and you're listening to The Morning Brief. So let's try and deconstruct Bihar. It is one of the most complex political landscapes which is driven by caste. Well, obviously, we can argue that caste is a predominant factor in all Indian elections. But when it comes to Bihar, caste becomes the central issue. Let's tackle this complex mix at the very beginning of the episode. Yadavs, who comprise about 14% of the population of the state, are the biggest caste bloc. And this bloc has been with Lalu Yadav's Rashtriya Janata Dal or RJD. Coupled with about 18% of Muslim population, RJD has a solid backing of what is called MY or Muslim Yadav caste bloc. Then we have another OBC bloc, Kurmis and Kushwahas. Now, numerically speaking, Kurmis are about 2.8% and Kushwahas are at about 4.2% of the population. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar is a Kurmi. Now, how do you explain this? Longest serving Chief Minister of Bihar belongs to a caste which is just about 2.8%. The key is in the social engineering masterminded by Nitish Kumar. He tapped into the upper caste anger against the Yadav's dominance under Lalu, the non-Yadav backward caste like his own, and the anger against widespread corruption. Then there are the most backward or extremely backward castes and more subcastes. This is why there is always an emphasis on ticket distribution. But for more on how Bihar votes and what are the poll issues, let's go to my colleague Kumar Anshuman, who has just returned from a pre-election trip to Bihar. Welcome to the show, Anshuman. And please tell us, how was it in Bihar and where all did you travel to?
Good morning, Nidhi and the team. This was just a kind of visit to the state before the election was setting in, before the elections were announced in the state. I started my travel with Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar's hometown, Nalanda, because Nalanda has been Nitish's den for more than 20 years now. Then I also went to some parts of Magadh Shahabad belt like Jahanabad, Nevada, Rajgir, and nearby places, Patna and other places, to see, because in 2020 and also in 2024, this was the region where NDA suffered the most. So I just wanted to see initially that, how is the election looking up? How are the people thinking about elections, So this was part of my travel initially. And these were my focus area in the last trip.
Anshuman, for our listeners, can you deconstruct Bihar? Because Bihar is confusing for people who are sitting in other parts of India. So we think of Bihar, we think of a caste-driven election. what are the regions of Bihar and what is the caste dynamics in each of them?
Look, Nidhi, I mean, the geography of Bihar was completely different before Jharkhand was declared as a separate state, because earlier Jharkhand was also part of Bihar. If you look at the current Bihar, which is there after the year 2000, we can easily divide into 4 to 5 parts. There's one Magad Shahabad belt. We also call it part of central Bihar. Some people call it South Bihar also. And in 2020 assembly elections, the opposition alliance did extremely well in this region. This was also due to addition of CPI-ML into the opposition alliance. And, this particular area has been the Naxal affected area, where the caste violence has taken place in early 90s. So the CPI-ML movement was stronger in this area, and it's still strong in this area. Same was the case in 2024 election, Lok Sabha election. This was the region where NDA lost the most. They lost 7 Lok Sabha seats from this region. And in the present election, this is what is the pain point of India, and India really wants to address this. Another reason is whoever travels to Bihar talks about it, is Simanchal. The 4 districts on bordering side of Jharkhand, and West Bengal, Araria, Purnia, Katihar, and Kishanganj, mostly dominated with minority population. Of course, because it's largely minority dominated, the opposition alliance scored well over the NDA alliance last time. But in 2020, there was also a player called AIMIM of Asaduddin Owaisi. They won 5 seats in that region, surprising the RJD Congress alliance. However, later, 4 of the AIMIM MLAs joined RJD. So that's another question. Here, the information I'm getting is that the BJP is willing to field senior party leader Shahanwaz Hussain from one of the seats in Kishanganj, just to send out a message to the minority community, and try to get 1 or 2 seats from that particular region. Then we come to Champaran region. Champaran has been a stronghold of the BJP since 90s. However, the party is facing some trouble this time because of leadership issues, because of anti-incumbency against the MLAs. Then again we come towards Chhapra, Siwan, Gopalganj, the parts bordering UP, Gorakhpur and Kushinagar. That is the reason. There, the competition was mixed between the opposition India bloc and the NDA alliance, because both of them won almost half of the seats in these particular areas. So the focus for NDA is to score better in Magad Shahabad belt while retaining Champaran, Mithilanchal belt, and also try to gain some ground in Simanchal, say win few seats. The focus area for the opposition alliance is that while maintaining their position and lead in Magad Shahabad belt, they are trying to score in Mithilanchal and Champaran.
Now, this seems to be the last election for Nitish and Lalu, and how crucial are they as factors right now, especially with Lalu passing on the mantle to Tejashwi?
Nidhi, the case is different between Lalu Prasad Yadav and Nitish Kumar, because Lalu Prasad Yadav is almost out of politics. He makes few statements here and there. He is not the guiding force. He is not involved into day-to-day affairs of the RJD, which is completely controlled by Tejashwi Yadav. Now let's come to Nitish Kumar. Despite the age factor, Nitish Kumar is still the man. I mean, he is still the leader of the NDA in Bihar. He is still the chief minister of Bihar for more than 2 decades now. And his party men and all the leaders want to see him chief minister again. So that's why there's the slogan that, 25 se 30 fir se Nitish, like once again Nitish Kumar as a chief minister. If you see, the Bihar politics has gone through a lot of change since 2005 when Nitish came to power, and especially after 2015. A lot of flip-flops happened. Sometimes Nitish went back to RJD, they formed the government, then he came back to the BJP, then he again went back to the RJD, and then he again came back to the BJP in 2023. But remember that in all these changes, Nitish has remained the fulcrum of the political developments in Bihar for the last 2 decades. So this is one election which will decide whether Nitish Kumar still has that aura, has that charisma which has worked in favor of him.
How much is the opposition making his health an issue this time? Because we saw in the Lok Sabha elections, there were a lot of videos doing the rounds about how he's not able, his hands are shaking, how he's not able to keep his, everything together. So this time, do you see his health being taken as another issue by the opposition?
Yes, exactly, Nidhi. Even 3 days back, the leader of opposition, Tejashwi Yadav, posted on X a video of Nitish Kumar where he's folding hands to the Prime Minister on during a video conference, and he made it a point to say that the CM's health is not in good condition, and how he's managing the state is something difficult for the people to understand, and more things should come out. The opposition has been making it an issue to convey the message to Nitish's voters who swear by Nitish that his health is deteriorating, and there would be there would be a situation where BJP might not propose him or make him the next chief minister.
So, Anshuman, tell us about the issues that the opposition is raking. We saw in the run-up Rahul Gandhi talking about vote chori, and even in this latest rally that they had, that the opposition had, they are really taking up local issues as well. But vote chori has been one of their main campaigns. So, can you tell us, with the SIR exercise and this entire campaign, how much is this issue sticking?
Nidhi, since the issue of SIR was mostly reported from Simanchal region, because there was fear that a lot of minority votes will be removed from the voter list and all that. But with Supreme Court coming in picture, and then making Aadhaar also one of the documents for accepting this, I think the issue has more or less been resolved. But yes, through this Yatra, Congress tried to create a buzz about itself, the party, that we are also a stakeholder in Bihar election till date, which was not there. What lacked in Congress effort was, the ground support was there, but since Congress does not have a cadre over a period of time, Congress has a very less support base. The mood, I can tell you at this point of time, is that there are only two things being discussed in Bihar. First, the introduction of SIR. Second, this is in a way going to be the last election for Nitish Kumar. So it will be challenging to see how his party goes further, the future of JDU. In new scheme of things, well, Nitish will not be active, Nitish will not be there. In the absence of a leader, we have seen several parties getting diminished. So that is one. Then another thing is that, since JDU is the main ally, the BJP is only helping the JDU. So this time, will that equation change post the elections? If BJP wins more seats, so there will be a BJP CM. Are we going to see a BJP CM? A lot of discussion happening around that. This is also an election where BJP is in ground without its a ground level leader, Sushil Kumar Modi. And why I'm saying is that Sushil Kumar Modi was one leader who had the grasp of every nook and corner of the state. So the absence of such a leader definitely affects the party. Another factor is that this is first election where state government under Nitish Kumar is doling out a lot of freebies before the election. We have seen several announcements. One time 10,000 rupees cash transfer to 1.5 crore women to start a business without any accountability. If they do not start the business, that money will not be taken back. 5,000 rupees to all the registered, almost 16 lakh registered construction workers who have a slum card, 5 lakh rupees to them. Increasing honorarium for Anganwadi workers, Jivika workers. Increasing the pension, old age pension, widow pension, and disability pension from 400 rupees a month to 1,100 rupees a month. So a lot of freebies have been pushed into the state. The last factor which I would like to talk about is, a person called Prashant Kishor, who earlier used to work for other parties, make them win and lose. Now he is in the battle fray for the last 3 years. He has been camping in the state. He has been touring the state. He has been meeting the people. And now he has launched his own party, Jan Suraj, and has tried to create a buzz around himself. He presents himself as the change maker, someone who will change the state. Whether it will convert into votes, that we still do not know. But Prashant Kishor is definitely a factor at this point of time. This appears when you talk to the people. What will happen on the voting day, that is a different thing. But at this point of time, if I say there are two things which are discussed in Bihar, one is Prashant Kishor and second is the freebies given by Nitish Kumar.
And how much do you think Anshuman is the anti-incumbency against Nitish, because he's been in power for 20 years?
As I said, anti-incumbency is one of the factors. But when you talk about development, I would say that, the state has witnessed a lot of infrastructural development, especially in recent times also when NDA government came to power in 2024. A lot of projects have been sanctioned for Bihar. We saw Patna Metro getting launched on the day election was announced. Rajgir in near Nalanda has got a cricket stadium. Sports facilities have improved. Hospitals also are coming up. Airports have come up in Darbhanga. Now Prime Minister has inaugurated one airport in Purnia. The new building of Patna Airport, a new international airport coming at Beta. So one person who talks about the development, the migration, and the problems of the state, jobs and all that is Prashant Kishor. And that's why he is becoming the person who is raising all those issues. Of course, Tejashwi Yadav is also raising the issue of jobs, employment, and migration. But till date, his campaign has been not very aggressive campaign in recent times. So negatives are also there. Law and order is one thing which people talk about. Law and order has deteriorated over time. So that is one thing people talk about. We all know about Jamtara as being the cybercrime hub of India. But I would say that now Bihar has also become the biggest hub of cybercrime, especially districts like Nalanda, Nevada, Motihari. These are the hot spots of cyber crimes across the country. But closer to the election, certain issues go behind. As I say, it's Bihar. It's very complicated. Caste comes into play. And finally, candidate comes into play. And then these bigger issues just take a back seat. Right now, it is being discussed. But for how long will it be discussed? That we can only say after 1 or 2 weeks as we go closer to the elections.
Thanks for taking the time out, Anshuman. We'll keep coming back to you closer to the elections and hope to get some ground stories too and some big interviews.
Thank you, Nidhi. Surely.
So here are some stats which tell you why we are looking at Bihar so minutely. In the last election in 2020, the difference between RJD-led Mahagathbandhan and Nitish Kumar-led NDA in the 243-seat assembly was just 12 seats. And in terms of votes, just about 11,000. A lot will depend on how effectively both alliances manage their seat-sharing talks and distribute tickets. Unlike previous elections, this is a two-phase poll. The first phase on November 6th and the second on November 11th. Anubhuti Vishnoi, who covers the Election Commission, brings us the details. Anubhuti, tell us, after the final draft rolls have been published, what was the controversy all about? Have all the doubts been dispelled by EC? And where are we at right now in Bihar as far as electoral rolls are concerned?
Well, as we know that the Supreme Court is still hearing the matter, to get a final sense or verdict on how the SIR in Bihar has been assessed overall, we do know that there are lots of doubts. The opposition parties have raised many, many questions. But at the same time, the exercise has been completed. In total, when we look at the overall electoral roll of Bihar, before the SIR was conducted in January 2025, Bihar counted about 7.8 crore voters. After the SIR, we are about 40-45 lakh short. So now we have an electoral roll of 7.42 crore voters. Yes, doubts still persist in the sense that, questions have been raised about deletions in the latest court order also. The EC has been asked to give more detail on how many who have been, deleted earlier in the draft roll have made it to the final roll. For instance, the draft roll deleted 65 lakh people from the electoral roll. And later, the final roll, which has been recently published, we have been told another 3.6 lakh have been deleted. At the same time, 21.6 lakh have been added onto the electoral roll. Mostly in every election, you will have young voters or first-time voters joining in. But in this case, it appears there's a very large segment which is over 25 years of age, which is usually not the case. So then the question arises is, are some of these people, are they those who were deleted in the draft roll and have applied afresh to be included? If so, how were they included? If so, did they submit the required documents? Please remember the EC has a very stringent document requirement criteria under the SIR. But overall, yes, the SIR has been completed in Bihar.
So the elections, 2 phases. Is this normal, Anubhuti, for Bihar?
No, it is a rare occasion. I think it's in last in 1985 that Bihar had a 2-phase election. Bihar has always had multi-phase elections for several years now. So this time around, the Election Commission, when they talked to political parties, both the opposition and ruling party were quite unanimous in that sense, because they both sought a shorter phase election. So you have a 2-phase election this time, which is, shortens the window considerably. So far, it is being welcomed by most people.
So what does it signify, Anubhuti? Better management, law and order, shrinking of the Naxal hit areas? What does it signify for us?
One will have to wait and watch, Nidhi, on how it goes, because law and order is largely in control, which is why you can manage to just do an election you held in 5 phases, you're holding in 2 phases. That's also interesting because number of polling stations have increased in Bihar, because now the EC has a cap of no more than 1,200 voters per polling station. This was 1,500 voters per polling station earlier. As a result, you have about 90,000 up polling stations now, vis-a-vis 78,000 or so earlier. So what obviously means is that the EC has been able to work around security and law and order logistics. It will need to deploy a whole lot of security personnel, and it is confident it can do so in these 2 phases, which also means the Home Ministry has indicated the availability of paramilitary to conduct a 2-phase election. So it is a signifier in that sense. Rest we'll have to wait and watch on how the elections actually go ultimately.
The counting will be on November 14th, and a new government will hopefully be sworn in soon after. This is all we have for you today. This episode was sound designed by Rajas Nayak and produced by Anirban Chaudhary and Vinay Joshi. Executive producers Anirban Chaudhary and Arijit Barman. Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed this episode on Bihar elections. We promise to bring you more in the run-up to voting. All new episodes of the Morning Brief podcast drop every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday on the streaming platform of your choice. Also, don't miss our new show, Corner Office Conversation, where we talk to the most interesting business leaders in India and the world. I'm your host, Nidhi Sharma, signing off. Have a great weekend. All external clips used in this episode belong to their respective owners. Credits are mentioned in the description.